Significance of a summit conference.
It was an unprecedented meeting of leaders of industry from both countries discussing not competition, but cooperation. Corporate heavyweights, like the chairman of Hewlett-Packard, seated next to his counterpart from Nippon Electric Corporation, two giants in the field of high-tech. Simultaneous translations cut through the language barrier as more than 200 Japanese and American executives listened to ways in which technology can be shared. One important topic of conversation here is how Japanese and American companies can form joint ventures, especially in the high-tech industries where the costs of research and development have skyrocketed far beyond an individual company's budget. Many Japanese companies already have joint ventures in this country. Toyota and GM are waiting for government approval to form their joint venture here in Fremont. And Sharp Corporation of Japan makes color TV sets in Tennessee. Tadashi Sasaki, Sharp's vice president, told me that when his plant opened, the productivity of his American workers was 60% below that of the Japanese. Now, 4 years later, he says, the two are almost on a par. Naohiro Amaya, who represents the government, says cooperation is important for yet another reason.
The free world is competing with Soviet Russia. We should win Russia. Not through the war, but through the peaceful competition.
So this is no ordinary meeting. It is rather a summit conference of people who have the power to shape our destiny. Vic Lee, NewsCenter 4.
That conference continues tomorrow. Among the keynote speakers will be Akio Morita, the founder of Sony Corporation.
And when we continue on this Tuesday evening from the News Center, we'll have an update on Super Tuesday voting and the government that says it is too dangerous to be on the streets. We'll have a report on the automobile on trial when we continue.
Today, the government claiming those vehicles are a grave danger and that they ought to be off the roads. Attorneys for the Justice Department contend that more than 1 million of the X cars have defective brakes, and the GM knew about the problem but went ahead with production anyway. GM lawyers deny that charge. They say the 1980 X car, one of the safest cars on the road.
Now, we've got another one for you tonight. This time it's a San Francisco man who's living on his own version of a consumer horror story, on the receiving end of someone's attempt to reach out and touch someone, this time to the tune of $20,000. NewsCenter 4's Rebecca Corral found out this sort of thing can happen to any of us, and in fact affects all of us.
Mark Bradford uses his home phone a lot, both for work and personal business. But he doesn't use it $20,000 worth, and that was the size of his phone bill last month.
Well, when I first saw it, I thought I'd ordered new checks from the bank because that was about the size of the package.
How much does that weigh?
Maybe almost half a pound.
It didn't take Bradford long to figure out most of the calls weren't his.
Calls are placed all over the world. They're placed to Japan, to the Philippines, to Panama, to South America.
Somehow, someone got a hold of Bradford's phone credit card number.
Have you ever given your card to anyone?
No. Either it was overheard or they said sometimes they're just guessed.
Obviously, your credit card number can be stolen without you even knowing about it. But a spokesman for Pacific Bell told me the phone company won't charge customers for calls they didn't make. Last year, Pacific Bell lost nearly $23 million to phony credit card use, and eventually, you pick up the tab. But the phone company has special investigators, and even if they don't recover the money, they do try to catch the phony card users. As for Mark Bradford, he only has to pay $34 of the phone bill. But he does get to keep the 317 pages for the memories. In San Francisco, Rebecca Corral, NewsCenter 4.
The phone company handles these cases of overbilling on an individual basis, and the honest consumer usually doesn't get stuck, at least not directly. If you're a parent with a child in college, you may need to take out a loan. While inflation's dropping, the price of higher education certainly is not. But look now at our NewsCenter 4 computer scan for the numbers. The average price of tuition at four-year colleges rose 7 to 8% this year. That's while inflation chugged along at just 4.1%. That is still an improvement, though. From 2 years ago, tuition then jumped about 10% a year. Administrators blaming rising maintenance costs for the increases. Paul?
Super Tuesday, we're going to go now to Bob Jimenez in our newsroom for a look at what's happened and the significance of that. Bob?
Thank you, Paul. The significance is that the Gary Hart campaign for president rolls along, chugs along. It is very healthy tonight. Right now, trading at least one state with rival Walter Mondale in the South. But the important thing to watch is the state of Georgia, where our polls are showing right now that Hart and Mondale are so close, it's too close to call. 116,000 votes for Mr. Mondale, the Hart's 112,000 votes. They are just 1 percentage difference apart. 70%, or let's say 70 delegates up in Georgia, and that would be very important. Because if Mondale, projected to win Alabama right now, would collect most of the 122 delegate votes there, that doesn't measure up very well to these about 245 votes that Mr. Hart is expected to win by taking Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Florida. Delegate count is very important. That will determine the man who is named right here in San Francisco as the man who will run on the Democratic ticket. But if Walter Mondale wins Georgia tonight, he will definitely have a psychological advantage. The experts will be quick to say that Mondale is back on track with 2 states out of 3 in the South. We'll wait and see.
All right, Bob. Still a lot more to come tonight. We will have an in-depth report on what you can do when you find yourself at odds with a credit reporting company. And first it was cookies. Now it is chips. You'll meet the man who took the long road to his fortune. And coming up next, some people at Stinson Beach caught smack in the middle of a fight over a seawall. $1 million building a seawall just may have to tear it down. That wall was built during last winter's storms to try to protect more than 100 homes along the beach. But there are charges that the seawall limits public access to the beach. And so the Marin County Planning Commission telling the homeowners they'll have to give up more of their land for public access if they want to keep that seawall.
Well, we all certainly know we got wet today. Sam Allred said about 1/2 inch we should expect. Well, it seemed like it was about 1.5 tons, but what did we get, Sam?
I'll tell you, I was out at Berkeley, and boy, was that rain coming down.
If you keep your credit rating clean, you still may be in trouble. It all depends on what the credit reporting companies are saying.
He delivers presents once a year.
The people here are excited.
Still ahead tonight on NewsCenter for a profile of a chocolate chip cookie maker who finally made his fortune with another kind of chip. And in sports, Tom Nettles reporting on the change of command for the Invaders. And we expect to go to Ginger Rutland live in Sacramento with some comments from the governor on his veto today of the gay rights job bill. All still ahead tonight. Paul?
Security used to be a...
Can account for almost half their business. We use our NewsCenter 4 computer scan for you to
credit. You really are your own best friend. The police, the merchants, the credit bureaus, even the credit criminals, they've all got their own agendas. The only person who's looking out for you is you. And we hope we've helped you a little bit to learn how to do just that. Ginger Rutland has just returned from...
Back when Amos wasn't nearly so famous, and Mrs. Fields was still a miss and working as a stewardess, Fred Pood, an IBM man turned deli owner, hooked up with 2 Sausalito waitresses to make chocolate chip history.
I feel that we were the founders of an individual, giant, high-quality, in an apothecary jar cookie by a cash register.
You know, you may have been in stores or restaurants lately where you've seen these giant glass jars with a giant size...
In 1972, the Pine Street Bakery was the darling of the media, and the sweet smell of success permeated the tiny Sausalito bakery, making the giant homemade chocolate chip cookies. It was the beginning of a national addiction and a new career for a refugee from the corporate world and one of his new partners, Nancy, on the right.
And we met and fell in love, and the cookies were created, and I sold the deli and started delivering and selling cookies, and it went out the roof too. It was great.
It was also very successful. By 1974, they were selling all the cookies they could make, 24,000 a week, until the jump in sugar prices caused the cookie and the marriage to crumble.
My ex-wife and her partner, their only solution was to raise the price of the cookies, which I disagreed with, and they fired me. And 6 months later, I had lost 75% of their business.
And you lost a wife.
I lost a wife, I lost a business, I lost a lot.
While others were left to cash in on the cookie craze he helped create, Fred Pood was broke and went back to the computer business, where in 1978 he hooked up with a company that had a new 5-inch floppy disk that he thought might do a little bit better than his 6-inch chocolate chips.
It was WordStar, and it became the world's largest word processing product ever.
The company he helped start 6 years ago is now a $45 million a year business, which is just about to go public, just as Fred has gone private again.
I'm not retired. I'm on vacation, and that's a big difference to me. I really want to get into something else, do another business, find something, play in the world.
The deli, the old bakery, and the computer company are now someone else's dreams and headaches, while Fred relaxes with his new family and searches for the next right product for the right time.
The key, if you will, is to enjoy yourself. Find something that you like to do, and then have an intention of what you want it to become, and that's what made it for me.
This is Mike Cerre, NewsCenter 4.
While Fred's not sure just exactly what his next project's going to be, he does say he's going to have fun doing it.
I'll bet he will. Stay tuned tonight at 11 o'clock at Update. We're going to have all the details on this Super Tuesday. We'll have live reports from our Kevin McCullough in Boston and from Rowland Post, our political specialist in Atlanta. See you then.
Good night.